A small town harbors a dark secret. The local sheriff is at the center of this mystery. He hunts a dangerous killer. Surprisingly, he also protects the very same criminal. This conflicting situation raises questions about justice and loyalty in a close-knit community. Sheriff William Hayes led a 15-year investigation into disappearances that terrorized his small county. Records showed he pursued every lead diligently, except those pointing to his brother-in-law. A new detective joined the department and began re-examining old evidence. She uncovered a pattern of deliberately mismanaged evidence and suspiciously changed witness statements. The story reveals how a position of authority allowed one man to misdirect an investigation for decades. The Oakwood County Police Station loomed before Detective Sarah Reeves. Its aged brick exterior contrasted sharply with the sleek city buildings she left behind. As Sarah approached the entrance, memories of her sister's disappearance surfaced. These thoughts from years ago began to overwhelm her, but Sarah pushed them aside, bracing herself for what lay ahead.
Excuse me, I'm looking for Sheriff Hayes.
A hush fell over the bustling office. Heads turned to observe the newcomer. Sarah felt the weight of their stares. A mix of curiosity and wariness was visible on their faces. The sudden quiet drew attention to Sarah's arrival. She could sense the office workers' mixed reactions as they watched her.
Well, you must be Detective Reeves. Welcome to Oakwood County.
Sheriff William Hayes emerged from his office. A broad smile was on his face. The smile seemed insincere. He extended a hand to Sarah. His grip was firm and calculated.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm eager to get started on those cold cases we discussed.
Yes, about that. Why don't we step into my office for a moment?
Sarah followed the sheriff. She was very conscious of the whispers trailing behind them. The office door closed with a click. Sarah couldn't ignore the sense that she had just stepped into a dangerous situation. It felt like entering a lion's den.
Now, Detective, I appreciate your enthusiasm. You should know that we've been over those cases repeatedly. Might I suggest focusing on more current matters?
With all due respect, Sheriff, fresh eyes can often spot things others might have missed. I'd like to at least review the files.
A flicker of emotion crossed Hayes' face. It could have been annoyance or fear. His affable mask quickly slipped back into place.
Of course. Just remember, this isn't a big city. We do things differently here in Oakwood County.
I'm aware of that, sir. But justice is justice, no matter where you are.
The tension in the room was palpable. Sarah and the sheriff locked eyes. Neither was willing to back down. It was clear that Sarah's presence would cause trouble. Her arrival in Oakwood County was going to upset many people.
Well then, let me introduce you to the team. I'm sure you'll fit right in, eventually.
As they left the office, Sarah noticed a young deputy. He was watching her curiously and apprehensively. Sarah didn't realize it at the time. Deputy Mark Thompson would soon become a crucial ally. He would help in her quest for the truth.
I look forward to working with everyone, Sheriff. Now, about those case files.
Sarah's determination was clear in her voice. It served as a strong sign of the personal stakes driving her investigation. She followed Sheriff Hayes into the heart of the station. The dark history of Oakwood County seemed to grow more significant. It threatened to overwhelm them all. The musty smell of old paper filled the air. Detective Sarah Reeves hunched over a stack of cold case files. She was in the dimly lit police archives. Her fingers traced the edges of yellowed documents. Her eyes scanned for details others might have missed.
Something's not right here. These reports, they're too neat, too perfect.
Sarah's brow furrowed as she compared two case files. She examined them side by side, looking for differences. The inconsistencies were subtle to most people, but to Sarah's trained eye, they stood out clearly. These differences were as obvious as neon signs to her.
Detective Reeves? Didn't expect to find anyone down here this late.
Deputy Mark Thompson's voice startled Sarah. She quickly composed herself. Sarah turned to face the young officer.
Just getting acquainted with Oakwood's history, Deputy. Care to join me?
I should return to my patrol now. The sheriff wants us to remain visible in town.
Sarah noticed something unusual. A brief sign of discomfort appeared on Mark's face. This reaction occurred when someone mentioned the sheriff. The sudden change in Mark's expression caught Sarah's attention. hinting at an underlying tension related to the law enforcement official.
Of course. Before you leave, I'd like to ask for your insight. It's about something interesting. There are two cases from 1998 and 2003. The witness statements in these cases seem strangely similar. Was this a standard procedure back then?
I wouldn't know. That was before my time. Maybe ask Sheriff Hayes? He's been here forever.
Mark's discomfort was obvious. Sarah noticed his unease. She decided to continue questioning.
I will do that. You work closely with the sheriff now. What's your opinion on his investigative style?
Look, Detective Reeves, Sheriff Hayes is a good man. He's kept this town safe for decades. If something doesn't seem right to you, I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation.
Sarah noticed the defensiveness in Mark's tone. She softened her approach in response. Sarah could sense Mark's internal conflict.
I'm sure you're right, Deputy. I'm just trying to understand how things work around here. Maybe we could grab a coffee sometime. You could explain to me the local perspective.
I'll think about it. Good night, Detective.
As Mark hurried away, Sarah turned back to the files. Her mind was racing with thoughts. The deputy's reaction had only strengthened her doubts. She gathered her notes and headed out. Sarah was determined to explore the town further. She wanted to uncover its secrets. The next day, Sarah found herself in Oakwood's town square. She observed the locals as they went about their daily routines. The small-town charm seemed to be just a facade. Sarah sensed an undercurrent of tension beneath the surface. The quaint appearance couldn't hide the unease she felt in the air.
Excuse me, you must be the new detective. Everyone's talking about you. Care to comment on something? Why is a big city cop suddenly interested in our town? Our little town is usually quite sleepy.
Sarah turned to see a woman. The woman was holding a notepad. Her eyes gleamed with curiosity. She was likely the local reporter.
Just here to help where I can. Oakwood's got its share of unsolved mysteries, like any town.
Unsolved mysteries? That's not what Sheriff Hayes says. According to him, Oakwood has a very low crime rate. In fact, it's the envy of the entire state.
Sarah chose her words carefully. She was aware of the delicate balance. This balance needed to be maintained. Sarah understood the sensitivity of the situation and acted with caution.
Every community faces its own challenges. I'm here to offer support. The Sheriff's Department is already doing great work. My goal is to enhance their existing efforts.
As Sarah spoke, she noticed Deputy Thompson across the square. Their eyes met briefly. He quickly looked away. His unease was evident, even from a distance.
Well, Detective Reeves, if you encounter any of those challenges, I hope you'll remember something. The public has a right to know.
Sarah nodded politely as the reporter walked away. She knew she needed to act cautiously in this tight-knit community. With each interaction, Sarah became more convinced of something unusual. Hidden under Oakwood's calm appearance was a complex network of secrets. These secrets seemed to be just waiting for someone to uncover them. The dense canopy of Oakwood Forest loomed overhead. Detective Sarah Reeves pushed through the undergrowth. Her boots squelched in the damp earth. The air grew thick with an eerie stillness. Only the occasional snap of a twig broke the silence beneath her feet.
Something's not right here. These woods hold secrets, I can feel it.
Sarah's keen eyes scanned the forest floor. She was searching for any sign of disturbance. As she reached the top of a small hill, something caught her eye. The entrance of an abandoned mine came into view. Its weathered timbers were barely holding back the surrounding nature.
This has to be the place mentioned in those old reports. But why wasn't it thoroughly investigated?
Sarah approached the mine entrance. Suddenly, a gravelly voice startled her. The sound came from behind.
You're not from around here, are you? What business you got poking around these old mines?
Sarah spun around quickly. She found herself facing a weathered old man. His eyes were sharp with suspicion. They peered out from beneath a battered cap. The man's weather-beaten appearance and wary gaze caught Sarah off guard.
Detective Sarah Reeves, sir. I'm investigating some cold cases. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
Cold cases, huh? Lot of things stay cold around here, Detective. Some by choice, some by force.
Sarah's interest was piqued by the cryptic response. She stepped closer to investigate. Her voice lowered as she approached.
What do you mean by that? Have you seen anything unusual around here?
Unusual? Ha! This whole town's unusual. It's strange if you know where to look. But folks around here don't like outsiders. They especially don't like people digging up the past. The sheriff keeps a close watch on everything.
Sarah's brow furrowed. Her mind was racing. She pondered the implications of the old man's words.
The sheriff? William Hayes? What's his connection to all this?
I didn't say anything about connections, Detective. In Oakwood, shadows run deep. Some of those shadows wear badges.
The old man's eyes darted nervously. He glanced towards the tree line. Then he continued speaking. His voice was barely above a whisper.
You want answers? Look to those who have been here the longest. But be careful. These woods are watchful. Not everything here is friendly.
The old man gave an ominous warning. He shuffled away, leaving Sarah alone with her thoughts. The abandoned mine loomed nearby. As Sarah turned back to the entrance, a chill ran down her spine. The feeling of being watched grew stronger. Shadows among the trees seemed to shift and deepen, adding to her unease.
This is bigger than I thought. Whatever's going on here, it goes deep into the heart of Oakwood.
Sarah took a deep breath. She gathered her courage for what lay ahead. As she prepared to enter the mine, she felt uneasy. The weight of her sister's unsolved disappearance pressed heavily on her mind. This drove Sarah forward, despite her growing sense of danger.
I'm close to something. I can feel it. Whatever it takes, I'm going to uncover the truth.
Sarah's eyes showed determination. She clicked on her flashlight. Then she stepped into the dark mine. She was unaware of watchful eyes. These eyes tracked her every move. They came from the depths of Oakwood Forest. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly in the sheriff's office. Detective Sarah Reeves leaned over a stack of case files. Her brow was furrowed in concentration. Sheriff William Hayes stood nearby. His imposing figure cast a long shadow across the desk.
Sheriff Hayes, I've been reviewing old case files. I've noticed some inconsistencies in the documents. Can you explain the investigation process to me? I'm particularly interested in the Miller disappearance from 1998.
Now, Detective Reeves, that was quite some time ago. Memory's a bit fuzzy on the details. Why don't we focus on more recent cases?
Sarah's eyes narrowed slightly. She noticed a subtle change in the sheriff's stance. His fingers tapped nervously against his belt.
With all due respect, sir, let me explain. Understanding past investigations could help our current cases. The Miller file appears to be incomplete. It's missing several key witness statements. This information could be crucial for our ongoing work.
It was a small town with limited resources back then. I'm sure we did our best with what we had available. Those statements may have simply been misplaced over time.
The tension in the room was palpable. Sarah locked eyes with the sheriff. A silent battle of wills played out between them. Their unspoken confrontation filled the air with an almost tangible intensity.
Misplaced? I see. And what about the forensic report? It seems incomplete.
Listen, Reeves, I appreciate your thoroughness. However, digging up old cases isn't going to help us now. Why don't you take the rest of the day off? It might help you clear your head.
Sarah gathered the files, her mind racing. She had suspicions she couldn't yet voice. As Sarah left the office, Deputy Mark Thompson caught her eye. His expression was a mix of concern and curiosity. Later that evening, Sarah paced her small, temporary apartment. The walls were covered in crime scene photos and timelines. The weight of her investigation pressed down on her. It mingled with the constant reminder of her sister's disappearance. Sarah felt overwhelmed by the evidence surrounding her and the personal connection to the case.
What am I missing? There's a pattern here, I know it.
She stopped in front of a photo of Sheriff Hayes. She studied his face intently. It seemed as if his expression might reveal hidden secrets.
What are you covering up, Sheriff? And why?
Night fell over Oakwood County. Sarah's determination grew stronger. She knew she was in dangerous territory. The victims' faces reminded her of her sister. This similarity drove Sarah to action. She vowed to uncover the truth at any cost. A dark secret lurked beneath the town's peaceful surface. Detective Sarah Reeves sat in her dimly lit office. She was surrounded by stacks of case files. The late-night silence filled the room. Only the occasional rustling of papers broke the quiet. Sarah examined one cold case after another, determined to uncover new leads.
Something's not right here. These patterns, they're too consistent to be coincidental.
Sarah's forehead creased in concentration. She spread out several witness statements on her desk. Her alert eyes moved quickly from one document to another. Sarah carefully examined each piece of evidence before her.
The language and phrasing are remarkably similar. It's almost as if the same person wrote these statements. This seems impossible at first glance. However, there might be an explanation.
A chill ran down Sarah's spine. The meaning of her discovery dawned on her. She reached for her phone. Sarah hesitated for a moment before dialing.
Deputy Thompson.
Mark, it's Sarah. I need you to come to the station. Now. And don't tell anyone you're meeting me.
Sarah? What's going on? It's the middle of the night.
I've found something significant. It's too big to discuss over the phone. Mark, I need your help. I'm looking for someone I can trust.
All right, I'm on my way. Give me 15 minutes.
Sarah hung up the phone. Her gaze fell on a photo of her sister. The picture sat on her desk. A familiar ache of loss washed over her. It mingled with a new, urgent sense of purpose.
I'm getting closer, sis. I promise.
15 minutes passed. Deputy Mark Thompson arrived at the scene. He looked concerned and slightly untidy.
Okay, Sarah, I'm here. What's so urgent that couldn't wait until morning?
Mark, I've been reviewing these cold cases. I found something disturbing. Take a look at these witness statements.
Sarah spread out the documents on her desk. She pointed out specific sections to Mark.
Do you notice these similarities? Look at the phrasing and the details. Some information is emphasized, while other parts are omitted. It seems like the information has been intentionally designed. This design appears to direct the investigation away from something. Or perhaps it's directing attention away from someone specific.
Jesus, Sarah, are you saying these statements have been tampered with? That's a serious accusation.
It gets worse. I've cross-referenced the dates of these cases with personnel files. There's one name that keeps appearing repeatedly. This name is connected to altered statements and mishandled evidence.
Sarah paused. Her voice dropped to a whisper.
Robert Hayes, the sheriff's brother-in-law.
No, that can't be right. Sheriff Hayes is a good man. He wouldn't be involved in something like this.
I hope you're right, Mark. But the evidence is pointing to a cover-up. It's a big one. This cover-up goes straight to the top.
Mark paced in the small office. He was running his hands through his hair. His actions showed clear signs of distress.
If what you're saying is true, God, Sarah, do you realize what this means? This could impact the entire department. It might affect the whole county.
I do. That's why I needed to tell you. I can't do this alone, Mark. I need someone I can trust. I need someone on the inside.
Sarah's eyes met Mark's. Her gaze silently pleaded for his support. After a long moment, Mark responded. He nodded his head slowly.
All right. I'm with you. We need to be careful. The sheriff might be involved. We can't trust anyone in the department.
Agreed. We keep this between us for now. We need more concrete evidence. Only then can we proceed with our plan.
Sarah and Mark began to plan their next steps. A sense of foreboding settled over the room. They were stepping into dangerous territory. The consequences of their investigation could be far-reaching. Their actions might deeply impact Oakwood County. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on their minds as they considered the potential outcomes.
One more thing, Mark. We need to look into Robert Hayes. This should be done quietly. There's something about him that doesn't seem right to me.
Who is Robert Hayes? He has always seemed like a respectable person. Robert is involved in the community. He volunteers at the youth center. These actions demonstrate his commitment to making a positive impact in his area.
Sometimes the most dangerous predators hide in plain sight. Trust me on this.
Dawn began to break over Oakwood County. Sarah and Mark shared a look of grim determination. They were about to unravel a web of deceit. This web had ensnared their community for years. There was no turning back now. The pair stood ready to face the challenge ahead, knowing their actions would change everything. Before we continue, let's take a moment to reflect. What are your thoughts on this story? What would you like to hear next? Please share your ideas in the comments. The local diner hums with quiet chatter. The sound of utensils fills the air as Sarah Reeves slides into a booth. Her eyes carefully scan the room. She spots Deputy Mark Thompson at the counter. He's nursing a cup of coffee. Sarah takes a deep breath. She readies herself for the conversation ahead.
Excuse me, Deputy Thompson. Mind if I join you?
Detective Reeves. Sure, have a seat.
Thompson's posture stiffens. Sarah settles onto the stool next to him. She notices his eyes moving anxiously. His gaze shifts towards the door.
I was hoping we could talk about some cold cases. I've been reviewing these cases recently. There are a few details I'd like to clarify.
Look, Detective, I'm not sure how much help I can be. Most of those cases were before my time.
I understand, but your perspective could be valuable. Fresh eyes, you know?
Sarah leans in closer. She lowers her voice.
Have you ever noticed anything off about how some of these cases were handled?
What are you implying, Detective?
Thompson's voice carries a mix of defensiveness and curiosity. Sarah opens her mouth to respond. Just then, the diner's bell chimes. Sheriff William Hayes strides in. His presence immediately commands attention. His eyes narrow as he spots Sarah and Thompson. They are standing close together.
Well, what do we have here? A little off-duty strategy session?
Sheriff Hayes. We were just discussing some case details.
Is that right? Thompson, don't you have patrol to get to?
Yes, sir. I was just leaving.
Thompson stands up quickly. He avoids making eye contact with Sarah. As he rushes past her, Sarah notices something. She catches a flicker of apology in his eyes.
Detective Reeves, a word in private?
Sarah follows the sheriff to a corner booth. She is keenly aware of the eyes tracking their movement. The diner's friendly atmosphere now feels oppressive.
I hope you're not causing trouble among my deputies, Reeves. We have a certain way of doing things here in Oakwood County.
No trouble, Sheriff. Just trying to be thorough in my review.
Remember, you're here as a courtesy. Don't overstep.
As the sheriff leaves, Sarah feels a heavy pressure. Unseen forces seem to weigh down on her. The once quaint diner now feels like a trap. She sees potential enemies at every table. Sarah realizes that in Oakwood County, allies are scarce. She understands that trust is a dangerous risk to take.
Muttering to herself. What are you hiding, Sheriff?
Sarah exits the diner with renewed determination. The bell's cheerful ring now sounds like a warning. As she walks to her car, the small-town charm changes. Oakwood County takes on a sinister edge. Sarah can't shake the feeling of being watched. She senses eyes on her from every shadow. Sarah's tires crunched on the gravel as she arrived. She pulled up to Robert Hayes' sprawling farm. The property was eerily quiet. Only the distant sound of cattle could be heard. Sarah took a deep breath to prepare herself. She was steeling for the encounter ahead.
Here goes nothing. Just a friendly neighborhood detective. Nothing suspicious at all.
Sarah stepped out of her car. Her eyes scanned the old farmhouse and rundown barn. Just then, Robert Hayes came out of the house. He was wiping his hands on a dirty rag.
Well, what brings a city detective out to these parts?
Sarah's skin crawled at the false warmth in Robert's voice. Despite her discomfort, she maintained a pleasant expression. This hidden tension revealed the complexity of their interaction, with Sarah's outward demeanor masking her true feelings.
Mr. Hayes, I hope you don't mind the intrusion. I'm Detective Sarah Reeves. I'm new to the area. I thought I'd introduce myself to some of the longtime residents.
Is that so? Well, ain't you thoughtful? Why don't you come on in for some iced tea?
Sarah hesitated for a moment. She was weighing the risk carefully. There's potential information to be gained. Sarah considered the dangers and possible rewards.
That's very kind of you, Mr. Hayes. I'd love to.
Sarah and Robert walked towards the house. Sarah noticed something unusual about Robert's behavior. His eyes were quickly scanning the trees. It seemed as if he was checking for witnesses.
So, Detective Reeves, what made you leave the big city for our little slice of heaven?
Sometimes a change of scenery is just what you need. I've heard that Oakwood County has an interesting history. The area has had its share of excitement over the years.
Robert's smile tightened. The change was barely noticeable.
Oh? And what kind of excitement might that be?
Just some cold cases I've been reviewing. It's standard procedure for new detectives.
Sarah watched Robert carefully. She noticed something unusual. There was a small movement in his left eye.
Well, I'm sure my brother-in-law has everything under control. William has been the one keeping our county safe. He's been doing this important job for decades now.
The sheriff certainly seems dedicated. You must be proud of your relation to him. He is a respected community leader.
Robert's gaze hardened. The friendly facade was slipping. This change happened for a moment. His expression revealed a brief shift from his usual pleasant demeanor.
Family's everything around here, Detective. We look out for our own.
The threat in his words was unmistakable. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Despite this, she pressed on.
That's admirable. Speaking of family, I noticed something interesting. You've lived on this property for many years. You must have seen many changes in the area.
Some things change, some stay the same. Folks come and go.
The way Robert said go made Sarah's stomach turn. Sarah knew she was in a precarious situation.
I'm sure you've got some interesting stories. Maybe we could sit down sometime. We could talk about the history of Oakwood County.
Now, why would a pretty young detective like yourself be interested in ancient history?
Robert's tone was light. However, his eyes told a different story. They were cold and calculating.
You'd be surprised what you can learn from the past, Mr. Hayes.
Careful, Detective. Some things are better left buried.
The air between them crackled with tension. Sarah knew she had pushed too far. She had reached the limit of what she dared to do.
Well, I should be getting back. Thank you for your time, Mr. Hayes.
Any time, Detective. Do come back if you have any more questions.
Sarah walked back to her car. She could feel Robert's gaze intensely fixed on her. She had confirmed her suspicions. But at what cost? The situation had just become far more dangerous. Detective Sarah Reeves stood on the porch of a modest suburban home. She was preparing herself for another difficult conversation. The faded yellow paint and overgrown lawn spoke volumes about the family's ongoing grief. She took a deep breath, reminding herself why she was there. Her purpose was to uncover the truth that others had missed.
Hello, Mrs. Johnson. I'm Detective Sarah Reeves. I'm here to talk about your daughter, Emily.
A middle-aged woman opened the door. Her tired eyes reflected her state of mind. Her expression was a mix of hope and trepidation. The woman seemed caught between anticipation and worry as she stood at the threshold.
Yes, come in. I didn't expect anyone to still be looking into Emily's case after all this time.
Sarah followed Mrs. Johnson into a living room. The room was filled with photos of a smiling teenage girl. A heavy feeling of absence hung in the air.
I'm reviewing several cold cases in Oakwood County. Emily's case is one of them. I was hoping you could tell me about the last time you saw her. Can you share anything you remember about the initial investigation?
Of course, I've been over it so many times in my head. Emily was heading to her part-time job at the library. She never made it there. The sheriff seemed so concerned at first, but after a few weeks, it appeared they simply gave up on the investigation.
Sarah's eyes narrowed at the mention of the sheriff. She pulled out her notebook. Sarah jotted down notes as Mrs. Johnson spoke.
Did you notice anything unusual about the investigation? Were there any peculiarities in how it was handled? Did you spot any details that seemed overlooked? Were there aspects that appeared to be dismissed? These questions aim to uncover any oddities or potential oversights in the investigative process.
Come to think of it, there's something I recall. A neighbor said he saw a truck near our house that day. When I mentioned this information later, the sheriff dismissed it. He told me it had been checked out and wasn't important. I've always wondered about that incident.
Sarah felt a familiar rush of excitement. This was exactly what she had anticipated. She had found the kind of inconsistency she was looking for. Her discovery confirmed her suspicions and fueled her determination to investigate further.
Mrs. Johnson, I promise you this. I will thoroughly investigate Emily's case. I'll examine every detail, no matter how small. Nothing will be overlooked in this investigation.
As Sarah spoke, her voice caught slightly. The pain in Mrs. Johnson's eyes was all too familiar. It mirrored the ache Sarah had seen in her own mother's gaze. This look of pain had been present for years.
Thank you, Detective. It's been so long. I just want to know what happened to my little girl.
Sarah reached out gently. She squeezed Mrs. Johnson's hand. This gesture comforted Sarah herself. It also consoled the grieving mother. The simple act carried deep meaning for both women.
I understand. More than you know. I won't stop until we find the truth.
Sarah left the Johnson home with renewed determination. However, she also felt the weight of responsibility. She couldn't help but think of her own sister. Sarah wondered if a detective was making similar promises to her family somewhere.
One more family, one more story. One step closer to the truth.
Sarah drove to her next interview. Her mind was racing with new questions. She had a growing suspicion about Sheriff Hayes' role in these investigations. The echoes of the missing were growing louder. Sarah was determined to make them heard. The darkness of the underground cave system enveloped Sarah and Deputy Thompson. They carefully made their way through the winding passages. Their flashlights cast eerie shadows on the damp, rocky walls. The sound of dripping water echoed in the distance.
Thompson, watch your step. These rocks are slippery. Keep your eyes peeled for anything unusual.
Got it, Detective. I still don't understand why we're in this location. What exactly are we looking for?
I'm not entirely sure yet. Something about the layout of these caves matches the location-based patterns of the disappearances. It's just a hunch, but there might be a connection. The cave structure seems to align with where people have gone missing, which is intriguing. While I can't be certain, this potential link is worth investigating further.
Sarah's voice trailed off. Her flashlight beam illuminated a shiny object in the distance. She quickened her pace. Her heart was racing.
Thompson, over here.
As they approached, the beam of light revealed a horrifying sight. A makeshift altar was partially hidden behind a rocky outcropping. The altar was adorned with personal belongings. These included jewelry, watches, and even a child's teddy bear. All these items could have belonged to the missing persons.
Oh my God, what is this place?
This confirms our suspicion. We're dealing with a serial killer, Thompson. They've been using these caves as their dumping ground.
Sarah's face showed a mix of grim satisfaction. Her expression also revealed barely contained rage. She had been right all along about her suspicions. However, the reality of her discovery was shocking. It was far more horrifying than she had imagined.
But how could this have gone unnoticed for so long? The sheriff, he should have.
That's exactly what we need to find out. Thompson, I need you to be honest with me. Has Sheriff Hayes ever mentioned these caves? Or has he shown any unusual interest in them?
Deputy Thompson's face contorted with conflict. His loyalty to his superior was being challenged. He struggled with the undeniable evidence before him. The deputy's expression revealed an intense internal battle as he grappled with the situation.
I don't know, Sarah. The sheriff has always protected this area. He said it was dangerous and off limits. But I never thought.
Never thought what, Thompson? Spit it out.
Last year, I caught Robert Hayes coming out of a cave entrance. Robert is the sheriff's brother-in-law. I reported the incident to the sheriff. He told me to forget about it. The sheriff said Robert was just exploring. He assured me there was nothing to worry about.
Sarah's eyes widened as the clues began to make sense. The connection between the sheriff and the potential murderer was becoming clearer. This realization was also growing more disturbing.
Thompson, listen to me. We've found something important here. This discovery changes everything. I need to know if I can trust you. What comes next won't be easy.
I became a cop to protect people and do what's right. If the sheriff's involved in this, God, I can't even imagine. But you can count on me, Detective. I'll do whatever it takes to bring justice to these victims. My commitment to doing what's right hasn't changed, even in the face of this shocking situation. You have my full support in this investigation, no matter where it leads or who it implicates.
Sarah nodded solemnly. She appreciated Thompson's commitment. However, she recognized the weight of what lay ahead. They began to document the grisly scene. The air in the cave seemed to grow thicker. It was charged with the knowledge of their discovery. This finding would deeply impact Oakwood County. Tension filled the Oakwood County Police Station. Detective Sarah Reeves stood before her colleagues. Her latest findings were displayed on the projector screen behind her. The room was a mix of curiosity and skepticism, all eyes fixed on Sheriff William Hayes as he entered. His face was a mask of stern authority. The atmosphere was charged as the team awaited the next development in their investigation.
Detective Reeves, I hope you have a very good reason. You called this meeting without my authorization.
Sheriff Hayes, I've uncovered some discrepancies. These issues are in our cold cases. I believe they need urgent review.
Sarah's voice remained steady as she presented. Her hands, however, trembled slightly. She clicked to move to the next slide. Whispers spread among the gathered officers.
Discrepancies? Are you telling me that you're questioning this department's work? This is work that I personally oversaw.
Sir, I'm not questioning anyone's integrity. I'm simply presenting the facts as I found them.
The sheriff's eyes narrowed dangerously. He stepped closer to Sarah. His voice lowered, becoming almost a growl. The tension in the air was palpable as the sheriff's intimidating presence loomed over Sarah.
Are these facts? Or is this wild speculation? It could be from an outsider, someone who doesn't understand Oakwood County. How can we trust information without knowing its source and reliability?
Sarah felt the room turn cold. Her colleagues began to move uneasily in their seats. She caught Deputy Mark Thompson's eye. A flicker of doubt crossed his face.
Sarah, maybe we should discuss this in private first.
No, Mark, this issue concerns everyone present. These cases and victims deserve our attention. We need to conduct a thorough reinvestigation.
Sheriff Hayes made a sudden move. He slammed his hand on the desk. This action startled everyone in the room. The unexpected noise caused people to jump in surprise.
That's enough. Detective Reeves, you're suspended. A full review of your conduct is pending. Turn in your badge and gun. Do it now.
Sarah stood frozen in place. The weight of the moment crushed down on her. She looked around the room nervously. A sea of averted gazes and disappointed looks met her eyes, lowly. She unclipped her badge from her uniform. She placed it on the desk alongside her service weapon.
This isn't over, Sheriff. The truth will come out.
Sarah turned and walked out of the station. Her head was held high, masking her inner turmoil. The drive to her apartment passed in a blur. As she drove, her mind raced with a mix of possibilities and fears. Sarah approached her apartment door. She quickly realized something was wrong. The door was slightly ajar. There were scratches around the lock.
Oh my God.
The apartment was in shambles. Drawers were pulled out and papers were scattered all around. Sarah's computer was missing. Her heart raced as she surveyed the damage. Sarah realized her investigation had touched a sensitive point. The situation had suddenly become dangerously serious. Sarah carefully made her way through the wreckage. Her eyes landed on a framed photo lying shattered on the floor. It was a picture of her and her sister. Sarah gently picked up the frame. She brushed away the broken glass with care.
I promise you, sis. I'm gonna finish this, no matter what it takes.
Sarah's hands were trembling. She reached for her phone. With hesitation, she dialed a number. It was a number she never thought she would use. The unexpected call filled her with a mix of anxiety and urgency.
Mark, it's Sarah. I need your help. Things have gone too far, and I can't do this alone anymore.
Sarah, what's happened? Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. I don't think any of us are okay right now. We need to expose the truth about this situation. Something serious has been happening in Oakwood County. It's time we uncover what's really going on.
Sarah ended the call and looked around her destroyed apartment. She knew there was no turning back from this moment on. The line between right and wrong had been crossed. She was now in a dangerous world. In this world, allies were few. Enemies hid in the shadows of authority, waiting to strike. The sun dipped low on the horizon. Long shadows stretched across Oakwood County. Detective Sarah Reeves stood outside the local media office. Her heart was racing with anticipation. She held a tan folder tightly to her chest. Sarah knew she was taking a big risk. However, the weight of her discoveries left her no choice.
Excuse me, are you Jack Holloway? The reporter who's been covering the cold cases?
That's me. And you must be Detective Reeves. What brings you here?
I have some information that I think you need to see. This information has to stay off the record for now. It's important, but we must keep it confidential at this time.
Sarah's eyes darted nervously around the small office. She handed over the folder to Jack. Jack's brow creased as he flipped through the pages. His expression became more serious with each turn.
This is huge. Are you sure about this?
I wish I wasn't involved in this. But the evidence doesn't lie. Something is very wrong here in Oakwood County. The problem goes straight to the top.
Sarah confided in Jack. Across town, a different scene was unfolding at the Oakwood County Town Hall. Sheriff William Hayes stood at the podium. His commanding presence filled the room. Concerned citizens packed the seats.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've called this meeting to address some disturbing rumors. These rumors have been circulating recently. I want to assure you all of something important. Our local sheriff's department has always operated with integrity. We have shown utmost dedication to this community. The Oakwood County Law Enforcement Team remains committed to serving you with honor. Unfortunately, we have a newcomer among us. This person seems intent on causing trouble. Detective Sarah Reeves has been conducting an investigation without authorization. She has been making wild accusations without any solid evidence to support them.
Deputy Mark Thompson stood in the back of the room. He shifted uncomfortably, feeling conflicted. His loyalty to the sheriff was at odds with his growing doubts. These doubts had been troubling him for some time, challenging his once firm beliefs.
Sir, with all due respect, shouldn't we at least look into some of Detective Reeves' findings?
Deputy Thompson, I appreciate your concern. I can assure you that there's nothing to find. Detective Reeves is pursuing weak leads. She's trying to make a name for herself. This is disrupting our community's sense of security unnecessarily.
A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some people nodded in agreement with the sheriff. Others exchanged worried glances.
Sheriff Hayes, we've known you for years. You've always supported us. But if there's even a chance that something is not right, we need to act. Don't we owe it to the victims and their families to investigate thoroughly? We value our relationship with you, Sheriff. However, our duty to the community might require us to look deeper into this matter.
I understand your concern. I can promise you that every case has been thoroughly investigated. We've followed the fullest extent of the law. Detective Reeves is an outsider to our community. He doesn't understand how we handle things here in Oakwood County.
The meeting continued as the town's division became increasingly apparent. Longtime residents rallied behind Sheriff Hayes. Meanwhile, others began to voice their support for a fresh investigation. Sarah was at the media office. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Deputy Thompson.
The sheriff is holding a town hall meeting. He's attempting to discredit you, Sarah. Be cautious. The situation is becoming dangerous.
Jack, I need to go. Remember, you must keep this a secret. Don't tell anyone until I give you permission. Lives depend on your silence.
I understand the situation. Sarah, you need to be careful. Watch your back. If what you're saying is true, you're facing a bigger problem than you realize. The danger may be more serious than you know.
Sarah left the office, feeling the weight of her actions. She had taken an enormous risk. Now, the stakes were higher than ever before. Conflict was escalating in Oakwood County. Sarah found herself at the center of a growing storm. This tension threatened to tear the community apart. The moon hung low over Oakwood Forest. It cast long shadows across the area. Rusted equipment lay scattered around the abandoned mine entrance. Detective Sarah Reeves approached the scene cautiously. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the eerie landscape.
This has to be where he's hiding the evidence. I can feel it.
Sarah's words came out in a whisper. Her breath was visible in the chilly night air. She paused, listening carefully. Sarah was alert for any sign of movement. The stillness of the night surrounded her as she remained vigilant.
What was that?
Her hand moved quickly to her holster. She swept her flashlight across the area. The beam caught something metallic. It was glinting in the darkness.
Bingo!
Sarah moved towards the object. Suddenly, a twig snapped behind her. She turned quickly. Her heart was pounding fast. The unexpected sound had startled her in the quiet surroundings.
Hello? Is someone there?
Silence was her only answer. Sarah's instincts screamed danger, yet her determination pushed her forward. She inched closer to the mine entrance. Every sense was on high alert. Suddenly, a shadow darted across her peripheral vision. Sarah spun around quickly. Her flashlight beam chased the movement. However, she found nothing in the darkness.
Show yourself.
Her voice echoed off the mine walls. There was a hint of fear in her tone. She backed away from the entrance. Suddenly, her foot caught on something. Sarah looked down and gasped in surprise.
Oh my God.
A leather wallet lay at her feet. She picked it up with trembling hands. Carefully, she opened it to look inside. There, she found a faded driver's license. The license belonged to one of the victims in her ongoing investigation. This discovery sent a chill down her spine, connecting her directly to the case she had been working on.
This can't be a coincidence. Someone's trying to lead me here.
Sarah suddenly realized something was wrong. She heard heavy footsteps approaching from behind. Quickly, she turned around. Her flashlight beam revealed a familiar face. The sight filled Sarah with terror.
Hello, Detective Reeves. I've been expecting you.
Robert Hayes was the sheriff's brother-in-law. He stood before her with a menacing grin. In his hand, a hunting knife glinted. The woman faced a threatening situation as the man, related to local law enforcement, displayed a weapon with clear ill intent.
Robert, but how? Why?
Oh, Sarah, you were so close to figuring it all out. But I'm afraid this is where your investigation ends.
Sarah's mind raced as she pieced together the clues. The sheriff's behavior had been suspicious. Evidence had been altered over the years. There were numerous cover-ups. All of these revelations led to this crucial moment.
The sheriff. He's been protecting you all along.
Family loyalty is a powerful thing, Detective. Now, why don't you come inside? We have much to discuss.
Robert gestured towards the dark mine entrance. Sarah realized with horror that she had become the hunted. The true nature of Oakwood County's darkness was finally revealed. She found herself standing face to face with its source. Before we continue, let's take a moment to reflect. What are your thoughts on this story? What would you like to hear next? Please share your ideas in the comments. The fluorescent lights buzzed ominously in the Oakwood County Police Station. Detective Sarah Reeves strode through the quiet hallways. She clutched a file folder tightly in her hand. Her heart raced with anticipation. The folder's contents could disrupt law and order completely. This small community was about to face a significant challenge.
Sheriff Hayes? We need to talk. Now.
Sarah's voice was steady. Her eyes, however, revealed conflicting emotions. Determination and apprehension were visible in her gaze. She stood in the doorway of Sheriff William Hayes' office.
Detective Reeves, this better be important. I've got a county to run.
The sheriff responded gruffly. His tone couldn't hide his unease. A flicker of discomfort crossed his face. He noticed the folder in Sarah's hand.
Oh, it's important, all right. Important enough to end your career and possibly land you in prison.
Now wait just a minute, Reeves. What the hell are you talking about?
Sheriff Hayes rose from his chair. His imposing figure loomed over the desk. Sarah didn't flinch at his presence. She stepped forward confidently. Sarah then carefully laid out the folder's contents across his desk. Her actions were deliberate and purposeful, showing no sign of intimidation.
Witness statements have been altered. Evidence has been mishandled. There were convenient oversights in the investigations. All of these point to one person. That person is your brother-in-law, Robert Hayes.
The sheriff's face turned pale. He scanned the documents on his desk. His hands trembled slightly. He reached for the papers with uncertainty.
You don't understand. You can't possibly...
Then make me understand, Sheriff. Right now, all I see is decades of cover-ups. I also see a series of deaths following these events. Help me comprehend how this situation has unfolded over the years.
A heavy silence fell over the room. The weight of unspoken truths hung in the air. Hidden secrets seemed to press down on them both. The atmosphere was thick with tension, as if the very walls held their breath.
You're right, Reeves, but it's not what you think. It's so much worse.
Sheriff Hayes slumped back into his chair. He suddenly looked every bit his age and more. The image of the esteemed sheriff crumbled away. Sarah witnessed this transformation before her eyes. The respected lawman's reputation dissolved in an instant.
It all began many years ago. Robert struggled with dangerous urges. I believed I could control him. My goal was to protect both the community and my family. However, the situation became unmanageable. Despite my efforts, things got worse rapidly, and I lost control.
You covered up his crimes. You let innocent people die.
Sarah's voice cracked. Her fury was barely contained. Her hands clenched into fists at her sides. The intensity of her emotion was evident in every aspect of her being, from the tremor in her speech to the physical tension in her body.
I thought I was containing the damage. If word got out, it would destroy this town. The chaos and witch hunts would be devastating. I couldn't let that happen.
What about the victims? Did you consider their families? Did you think about them at all? Were you too busy containing the damage? These questions highlight the human cost often overlooked when focusing solely on damage control.
The accusation hung in the air. It was harsh and severe. Sheriff Hayes looked up at Sarah. His eyes were filled with emotion. A mixture of shame and desperation showed on his face.
Every day. I think about them every damn day. But I'm in too deep now, Reeves. We both are.
What do you mean, we?
A chill ran down Sarah's spine. She realized the meaning behind the sheriff's statement. The true extent of the corruption was becoming clear. It was only the beginning of a shocking revelation.
You've uncovered enough evidence. This could bring down the whole operation. But, Detective, think carefully. Are you prepared for what comes next?
Sarah stood there, overwhelmed. The weight of her discovery pressed down on her. She knew her next move would change everything. This change would affect her personally. It would impact Oakwood County as well. Many had endured hardships quietly for too long. The cave's entrance gaped like a pitch-black mouth before Sarah. It seemed ready to swallow her whole. Her flashlight beam barely cut through the oppressive darkness. Sarah stepped inside, her heart pounding in her chest. The air grew thick and damp. It carried an unmistakable scent of decay.
Come on out, Robert. There's nowhere left to run.
Sarah's voice echoed through the winding passages. The sound bounced back at her like a mocking echo. She pressed on, moving carefully forward. Her footsteps were cautious on the slick stone floor.
You shouldn't have come here, Detective. This isn't a place for the living.
Robert's voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Sarah spun around, startled by the sound. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness. The light moved in frantic arcs as she searched. Sarah's eyes darted about, trying to locate the source of Robert's voice in the pitch-black surroundings.
Why did you do it, Robert? All those innocent lives. Was it worth it?
You have no idea what it's like, do you? It's about the thrill and the power. William understood this experience. That's why he decided to help me.
Sarah's blood ran cold at the mention of Sheriff Hayes. The betrayal cut deep into her emotions. This was despite her existing suspicions.
He's not here to help you now. It's over, Robert. Face what you've done.
Sarah rounded a corner, her light revealing a scene of horror. Scattered bones and tattered clothing littered the cavern floor. Among the debris, a small silver locket caught the light. The locket was identical to the one her sister had worn.
No, it can't be.
Sarah's voice broke. Her professional facade was crumbling. She knelt to pick up the locket. Her hands were trembling as she did so. The composed appearance she had maintained was now giving way to raw emotion. Each movement revealed her inner turmoil as she grasped the meaningful object.
Ah, you recognize it, don't you? Your sister was special, Sarah. They all were.
Robert's voice was closer now. It conveyed a disturbing pride. This made Sarah's stomach churn.
You sick bastard. She was just a kid.
Sarah felt a storm of emotions. Rage and grief battled within her. She clutched the locket tightly to her chest. The weight of her long quest for justice bore down on her. Years of tireless searching had led her to this moment. Now she stood in a dark and lonely place. The culmination of her journey was at hand.
We're not so different, you and I. Both of us are driven by our obsessions. Detective, how many lives have you ruined? Your pursuit has been relentless.
Robert's words hit Sarah like a physical blow. They forced her to confront something difficult. She had to face the cost of her unwavering focus. This moment of realization made Sarah pause and reflect on her choices.
I'm nothing like you. I bring killers to justice. I give families closure.
What will bringing me in do for Oakwood County? You'll tear this community apart. Is that truly justice?
Sarah stood firmly. Her determination was growing stronger. She faced the darkness head on. From the shadows, Robert's voice emerged.
Justice isn't always clean or easy. However, it's necessary. We need justice for my sister and all your victims. Justice is also crucial for this town to heal.
A shadow moved in the edge of Sarah's sight. She whirled quickly, her flashlight beam sweeping around. For a split second, the light caught Robert's face. Then he ducked behind a rocky formation in the cave.
It's over, Robert. Come out with your hands up.
If you want me, come and get me, Detective. Let's see if you can face your demons. I've already embraced mine.
Sarah took a deep breath, preparing herself for the confrontation ahead. With one hand on her gun, she gripped her sister's locket with the other. She ventured further into the darkness, determined to end the nightmare. This nightmare had consumed Oakwood County and her own life for far too long. The air in the cave system was thick with tension. Sarah Reeves cautiously made her way through the damp, narrow passages. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness. It revealed sharp, uneven rocks and sporadic, shiny metal reflections. These were evidence of past crimes, concealed from the world above ground. The hidden metallic objects hinted at secrets buried deep within the cave's depths.
This has to be it. The place where it all happened, where they hid the truth.
Suddenly, a beam of light appeared around the corner. It was another flashlight. Sarah reacted quickly. She instinctively reached for her weapon.
Detective Reeves, I should have known you'd find your way down here eventually.
Sheriff William Hayes stepped into view. His presence was usually commanding. Now, he showed signs of palpable unease.
Sheriff, I wish I could say I'm surprised to see you, but we both know why you're here.
Sarah, listen to me. You don't understand what's really happening. This situation is more complex than it seems. It goes deeper than you can imagine.
Then explain it to me, Sheriff. Explain why evidence has been tampered with. Tell me why witnesses have changed their stories. Every lead I've followed has pointed directly to you. It all implicates you and your brother-in-law.
Before the sheriff could respond, another figure appeared from the shadows. It was Robert Hayes. His eyes were wild, revealing a mixture of fear and desperation.
Well, looks like we've got ourselves a real family reunion down here.
Robert Hayes, you're under arrest for the murders of...
Save it, detective. We're way past that now. Billy here has been covering for me for years. Ain't that right, brother?
Sarah's gaze darted between the two men. Her mind was racing as she tried to process the information. This was the final, damning piece of the puzzle.
Robert, for God's sake, shut up. We can still fix this.
Fix this? There's no fixing what you've done. All those lives have been affected. So many families are left without answers. And for what purpose?
You don't understand, Sarah. I was protecting this town. Robert had done something terrible. If people knew about it, Oakwood would have been torn apart.
And what about my sister? Was she just another sacrifice for the greater good?
A heavy silence settled over the cave. It was broken only by the distant drip of water. The impact of Sarah's words hung in the air. Her statement was a painful reminder of personal stakes. These stakes had driven her investigation from the very beginning.
Your sister? Oh, that's Rich. Tell her, Billy. Tell her what really happened to her precious sister.
Sheriff Hayes' face changed. It showed a mix of emotions. Shame and anguish were visible. His expression revealed inner turmoil, combining feelings of regret and deep distress.
I didn't know at the time, Sarah. I swear when I found out it was too late. I believed I could make amends. I tried to protect others as a way to correct my mistake.
By letting a killer walk free? By becoming complicit in his crimes?
Sarah's hand tightened on her weapon. Her resolve began to waver. The full impact of the betrayal washed over her, shaking her to her core.
Enough talking. Only one way this ends now.
In a flash, Robert drew a hidden gun. He aimed it squarely at Sarah. Sheriff Hayes reacted instantly. He positioned himself between Sarah and Robert, his brother-in-law. The sheriff's quick move provided a protective barrier.
Robert, don't! It's over. We have to face what we've done.
Speak for yourself, Billy. I'm not going down for this. Not now, not ever.
Time seemed to slow as Sarah watched the scene unfold. Her training and emotions were at war within her. In this moment, she knew her next action was crucial. It would define not just the outcome of the case, more importantly, it would reveal the essence of who she was. Her decision would show what she truly stood for.
This ends now. All of it.
In the deafening silence that followed, Sarah stood still. She was surrounded by the aftermath of years of secrets and lies. The truth was finally revealed in the cold, damp air of the cave. As the echoes of gunfire faded away, Sarah was left alone. She now had to grapple with the weight of her actions. Justice, vengeance, and moral complexity clouded her chosen path. The sun rose over Oakwood County. Long shadows stretched across the town square. The usual morning bustle was gone. An eerie silence settled over the area. Residents gathered in small, whispering groups. News about Sheriff Hayes had spread quickly. He was involved in the murders and arrested. The community was left in shock and disbelief. The once familiar town now felt strange and unsettling as people struggled to understand the events unfolding around them.
I never thought I'd see the day when solving a case felt this hollow.
Detective Sarah Reeves stood at the edge of the town square. Her eyes scanned the faces of the townspeople gathered there. The weight of her badge felt heavier than ever before. She carried the responsibility of changing their lives forever. Sarah knew her actions would disrupt the entire community.
Sarah, I still can't believe it. How do we even begin to pick up the pieces?
One day at a time, Mark. That's all we can do. The truth had to come out, no matter how painful.
Deputy Mark Thompson nodded solemnly. His young face showed a combination of emotions. He felt admiration for Sarah. At the same time, he experienced sorrow for the community he had sworn to protect.
Detective Reeves, a word, please.
Sarah turned to see Caroline Becker. Caroline was the town's most prominent councilwoman. She was approaching with a grim expression.
Councilwoman Becker, how can I help you?
You've opened Pandora's box, Detective. Our people are scared and angry. Some are talking about taking justice into their own hands. We need assurances that law and order will be maintained.
I understand your concerns. However, vigilantism is not the answer. We are bringing in extra support from the state. This will ensure a smooth transition. The truth can be painful, but it's the first step towards healing.
Caroline's eyes narrowed. She was unconvinced by Sarah's words. The detective sensed the community's intense attention. She could feel their eyes upon her. The air was thick with mixed emotions. Gratitude and resentment seemed to blend together around her. The sad sound of church bells pierced the tense atmosphere. It reminded everyone of the day's somber occasion. Sarah's face softened as a memory surfaced. She suddenly recalled why she had really come here today.
If you'll excuse me, Councilwoman, there's somewhere I need to be.
Sarah walked through the town. Her steps were heavy as she approached the cemetery. The cemetery was located on the edge of town. A small group had already gathered there. They stood around a newly dug grave. Sarah joined the mourners at the gathering. She noticed a familiar face in the crowd. It was the mother of a victim from a past case. That case had led Sarah down a dark path. Their eyes met across the room. A silent understanding passed between them.
Detective Reeves, I never thought I'd see this day. It's hard to believe we're finally here. After all these years, we'll know the truth at last.
I'm so sorry it took this long. I wish I could have done more.
You gave us closure. That's more than we ever hoped for.
Sarah's throat tightened as she thought of her sister. Her sister's case remained unsolved. A bittersweet feeling of partial closure lingered. Sarah experienced a mix of relief and sadness about the situation.
It's not enough. It'll never be enough. But it's something.
The pastor began the service. Sarah stood at the back, her mind racing. She pondered the consequences of her findings. The truth had come at a high cost. The road ahead was uncertain. She watched the community come together in grief and solidarity. Sarah felt a glimmer of hope for Oakwood County's future.
We'll get through this. Somehow, we'll find a way to rebuild.
Sarah's whispered words were carried away by the wind. It was a promise to herself and to the community she had permanently changed. The chapter of secrets had closed. However, the story of healing was just beginning. The early morning light filtered through the partially packed boxes in Sarah's apartment. Long shadows stretched across the worn floorboards. Sarah stood by the window, holding a cup of coffee. The coffee was cooling in her hands as she gazed out. She looked at the town that had become her challenge and her salvation.
It's finally over. But at what cost?
Sarah's eyes drifted to a framed photo of her sister on the nightstand. It was the only item not yet packed away. She set down her coffee and picked up the frame. Her fingers traced the outline of her sister's smiling face.
I did it, Lizzie. I found the truth. But I'm not sure if it brought me the peace I was looking for.
Sarah glanced at her phone. She saw Deputy Thompson's name on the screen. Sarah hesitated before answering.
Deputy Thompson, what can I do for you?
Detective Reeves, I wanted to thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. The town is still recovering from recent events, but you did the right thing. We all needed to know the truth.
Even if the truth tears everything apart?
Especially then. It's the only way we can start to rebuild, to make things right.
Sarah's grip tightened on the phone. She fought back a wave of emotion.
Take care of this place, Thompson. Don't let it happen again.
I won't. I promise. Good luck, Detective.
Sarah set the phone down. She turned back to the window. The town of Oakwood lay spread out before her. It was familiar, yet forever changed. Sarah knew it was time for her final goodbye. An hour had passed. Sarah stood before a small memorial garden. The garden was on the outskirts of town. A plaque bore her sister's name. It glinted in the morning sun.
Hey, Lizzie. It's been a while.
Sarah knelt down. She placed a single white rose. The flower rested at the base of the plaque.
I always thought finding justice for you would fix everything. I believed it would fill this hole inside me. But now I know the truth about evil. Evil can hide in plain sight. It might wear a badge or a friendly smile. I'm not sure I'll ever stop looking over my shoulder, Lizzie, but I promise you this. I'll keep fighting. I'll fight for you and for all the others. I'll fight for those who can't speak for themselves anymore.
Sarah stood as a gentle breeze rustled through the nearby trees. For a moment she felt a sense of peace wash over her. It was as if her sister's spirit was acknowledging her words.
Goodbye, Oakwood. Goodbye, Lizzie.
Sarah took one last look at the memorial. She turned and walked back to her car. The ghosts of Oakwood would always be with her. As she drove away from the town limits, she felt hopeful. A glimmer of hope for the future emerged. Sarah felt fresh resolve to face future challenges. The story has come to an end. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Please leave a comment with your thoughts on the story. I will read every comment you write. I promise to respond to each of you personally. Looking forward to our next encounter.